Elon Musk. Mr. Musk is a wealthy internet entrepreneur. Musk built a car company called Tesla that turns out 5,000 high-end.
Bugatti want £20,000 to service my Bugatti Veyron. Today, we're going to do it for a lot cheaper.
Elon Musk just dropped a bombshell, and Ferrari, Bugatti, and the entire automotive world are scrambling. Matt Armstrong spent 2 years rebuilding a car that manufacturers declared impossible to fix. He solved every mechanical problem, every electrical fault, every engineering challenge. Then a single line of code stopped everything. What happened next pulled in Supreme Court lawyers, billion-dollar legal teams, and the most powerful disruptor in modern technology history. Ferrari built a trap.
Okay, it's time to get some cars fixed and on the road. There's only a few cars of mine which are actually on the road.
Matt walked straight into it, and someone with unlimited resources just kicked the door open. The legal battle, the blocked software, the silence from two of the world's biggest brands. Stay with us. The truth is about to surface. The trap, every mechanical problem had been solved. The bodywork was complete. The engine was in place. The hybrid battery carried a full charge. Matt turned the key. The dashboard showed one line: hybrid system failure, go to dealer. No technical explanation. No fault code that could be addressed through independent repair. Just that single instruction, pointing back to the one organization that had already refused to engage. Matt and his technicians spent weeks on the problem. They used every independent diagnostic tool available on the aftermarket. They cleared fault codes. The faults returned within seconds every time. They identified a communication failure in the car's electronic network, a section that appeared never to have been properly activated following the rebuild. They traced the issue to damaged wires in one of the replacement harnesses. The wires were repaired. Every circuit was isolated and tested individually. The attempt was made again. The dashboard showed the same message. Matt contacted Ferrari directly. He sent a detailed email covering everything. The full scope of the rebuild. The challenge body conversion. The hundreds of hours of work. The financial investment he had made. He asked for one thing: a software reset. A routine diagnostic procedure that Ferrari's own technicians perform regularly. On cars coming out of the factory, Ferrari's response arrived after a significant delay. The company stated that the car needed inspection by a certified Ferrari body shop before any service could be performed. Parts needed to be verified as genuine and correctly installed. The challenge body modifications and the redesigned cooling system needed to be reversed before any diagnostic work could begin. In plain terms, undo everything you built over the past year. Spend additional money returning the car to factory specification. Bring it to an authorized location, and then we may consider helping you. The response contained no commitment to actually perform the reset. Even if Matt complied with every condition they listed, there was no exit from this loop. Ferrari had designed it precisely, then it got worse. Sources close to the situation revealed that Ferrari's legal department had been documenting the entire build from the beginning. Every modification, every deviation from factory specification, every claim published in Matt's videos, the challenge kit installation, the cooling system changes, the carbon fiber repair procedures. This documentation was not being assembled to assist with any future repair. It was being compiled for a legal filing. Ferrari's argument rested on 3 pillars. First, intellectual property. The hybrid system software is proprietary code, and accessing or working around it is infringement. Second, safety and liability. A car rebuilt outside approved procedures poses public danger, and any incident involving it would damage the brand. Third, contractual control. Purchasing a Ferrari implies an ongoing obligation to maintain it according to factory standards, and violating that obligation justifies refusing all service and pursuing legal action. That third argument was the one capable of reaching the UK Supreme Court. It had never been tested at that level. Ferrari believed it never would be because no independent builder
Oh no, he's just edging ahead!
Oh, look at that Ferrari power.
had ever had the resources to force the question. That calculation was about to be proven wrong. Bugatti steps in. While the Ferrari legal situation was developing, Matt had also purchased a wrecked Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport. If the Ferrari represented one level of complexity, the Chiron existed on a different plane entirely. The Bugatti Chiron Pur Sport runs a quad-turbocharged W16 engine producing 1,500 horsepower. It uses a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission and an all-wheel drive system built to manage speeds approaching 260 miles per hour. The carbon fiber monocoque chassis takes months to assemble even inside Bugatti's own factory. On the second-hand market, a Chiron Pur Sport exceeds $3 million. It is one of the most mechanically complex production vehicles ever manufactured. Bugatti refused to supply parts for the rebuild, but where Ferrari had used legal silence, Bugatti used something far more public. Matt Rimac, founder of Rimac Automobili and CEO of Bugatti Rimac following the company merger, posted directly on his own social media and challenged Matt's claims openly. He stated that the work Matt had shown in his videos was not possible to perform in a private garage. The right equipment and properly trained personnel, he argued, simply did not exist outside a small number of authorized facilities worldwide. The specific accusations centered on whether certain Chiron components had been three-dimensional printed as substitutes for genuine parts, and whether Matt had accurately represented the sourcing of Bugatti-branded components throughout the build process. This was not a legal letter sent through attorneys. This was the CEO of one of the world's most exclusive automotive brands publicly addressing a YouTuber. The reputational stakes for both parties were significant. Matt's response was not a statement. It was footage. He went back through every part of the build and documented it on camera. He showed the sourcing trail for every single component, where it came from, who supplied it, what it cost, how it was installed. He made every engineering decision visible in a way that no written response could have achieved. When the W16 engine fired in his workshop, the public argument against him collapsed. The Bugatti ran. It moved under its own power. Millions of people watched it happen in real time. The contrast between the two situations is important to understand clearly. Bugatti's resistance had been about parts and reputation, whether an independent builder could genuinely source authentic components and honestly represent the work. Matt answered that question completely on camera. Ferrari's resistance was about something different at its core. It was about code, about ownership, about whether the digital systems inside a car you legally purchased belong to you or to the manufacturer who programmed them. That question could not be answered with footage. It could not be resolved through documentation or public pressure. It required a court. The Bugatti ran because physical rebuilding was sufficient to complete the job.
That is made by Bugatti, that bit wasn't, bro. But obviously the whole front end of the car isn't here, but we're having that all made.
The Ferrari stayed silent because the final barrier was not mechanical, it was digital. And no wrench, no diagnostic tool, no number of subscriber views could open a software lock that a manufacturer controlled entirely. That was the state of things when Elon Musk opened his phone and started writing. The fallout. Within 48 hours of Musk's post, the responses came from every direction, and they have not stopped since. Multiple automotive legal analysts published immediate public assessments. The consensus was consistent across all of them. The amicus brief threat was credible. The diagnostic tool appeared legally sound, and Tesla's involvement represented a scale of legal resource that Ferrari had not anticipated when it began building its case against an independent, content creator. What had started as a parts dispute between a YouTuber and a manufacturer had become a direct confrontation between the technology, industry, and traditional automotive manufacturing at the highest level. Two sitting members of the European Parliament referenced the Armstrong case in public statements within 24 hours. Both noted that the Digital Markets Act's provisions on software interoperability appeared to have direct bearing on whether vehicle owners retain meaningful rights to the software systems controlling their cars. The case was no longer a UK legal matter in isolation. It was being discussed at a European legislative level. Right to repair advocacy organizations across the EU and United States issued coordinated statements within days. Every major organization in the space cited Musk's announcement as the single most significant development in the automotive software restriction debate to date. The issue had existed in legal journals and committee rooms for years. It had never entered public focus with this level of resources and momentum behind one specific case. Ferrari and Bugatti both declined to make any public statement. That silence requires interpretation. Both companies operate large, professional communications departments. Both are experienced at defending their brand positions in public when challenged. The decision not to comment from either company was noted by every legal observer covering the story. The consistent interpretation was that neither company had gone quiet because they lacked a response. They had gone quiet because they were rebuilding their legal strategies in response to a development that had not been in their original plans. When companies of this scale go completely silent under direct public challenge, they are preparing, not retreating. Matt Armstrong posted one video on the evening of Musk's announcement, 12 seconds long. His workshop, the Ferrari 296 challenge.Then, visible in the background, still in its race bodywork. Still locked, still silent. Matt looked directly at the camera. He said nothing. He smiled. 8 million views in 24 hours. 2 years of documentation. 2 years of the same error message on that dashboard. 2 years of unanswered emails and canceled parts orders, and a car mechanically complete, but legally frozen. None of it needed explaining anymore. As of now, the former Tesla engineers have made direct contact with Matt's team. The open-source diagnostic tool is in final stage testing. The support team Musk committed to is being assembled. Somewhere in a workshop outside London, the world's only Ferrari 296 challenge.Then sits waiting. The mechanical work was done months ago. The bodywork is complete. The engine is primed. The battery is charged. One sequence of code stands between that car and the open road. That code is about to be rewritten. Elon Musk, the announcement that changed everything. On a Thursday evening, Elon Musk posted a thread on X that opened with 11 words. Software locks on cars you own are a form of theft. The thread ran to 11 posts. Within 4 hours, it had accumulated over 40 million views, making it one of the most widely engaged posts in the platform's history on any consumer rights or automotive topic. By the following morning, every major automotive publication had covered it. Legal analysts were on record within hours. Two sitting members of the European Parliament had referenced it in public statements before the day ended. The early section of the thread laid the framework. Musk drew a direct comparison to the long-running legal dispute between American farmers and John Deere, a conflict where farmers discovered their tractors had been fitted with software locks.
Now with a bold new look that's unmistakably John Deere. Inside and out. We went bold.
Preventing basic repairs without dealer authorization, even on equipment they legally owned and had paid for in full. He referenced the European Union's Digital Markets Act and its provisions on software interoperability, which legal analysts had already flagged as potentially applicable to automotive ECU systems. He connected the smartphone right to repair battles of the previous decade directly to what was now happening across the automotive industry. Then, the thread moved from principle to concrete action. Musk disclosed that a team of former Tesla and SpaceX engineers had been working for months on a universal diagnostic initialization tool. The legal distinction he emphasized was precise. The tool is not a hack. It does not break encryption. It does not copy, distribute, or reverse engineer any manufacturer's proprietary code. It is an open-source software framework that communicates initialization protocols to proprietary ECU systems in modern hybrid vehicles using standard protocols knocking on the door rather than forcing it. Independent cybersecurity researchers who reviewed the full technical documentation confirmed this characterization publicly. The framework had been designed to operate within existing legal boundaries while accomplishing what had previously been impossible outside a manufacturer's own network. The reinitialization of a hybrid battery management system following a crash repair, performed by an independent technician. Then came the section that nobody in the automotive world had anticipated. Musk named Matt Armstrong directly. He stated that Armstrong would be among the first to receive unrestricted access to the diagnostic tool, supported by a dedicated team of former Tesla engineers to assist specifically with the Ferrari 296 GTB's initialization. He described Matt's rebuild as precisely the kind of independent work that should be legally protected. He characterized Ferrari's software lock, a restraint of trade hiding behind consumer safety language. Beyond the tool itself, the announcement included a formal commitment. Tesla's legal team would file an amicus brief in support of Armstrong if the case reached the UK Supreme Court. Ferrari's legal strategy had rested on one core assumption that the right to repair, as currently understood in British and European law, does not extend to software. Musk's announcement may have ended that assumption entirely. On intellectual property, the open-source tool reproduces nothing proprietary. Tesla's legal team, having won significant IP cases across multiple jurisdictions, had ensured every component of the tool sat on the correct side of the legal boundary before any public statement was made. On safety, Ferrari's argument that software locks protect consumers becomes nearly impossible to sustain when engineers who built the world's most advanced battery management systems say the exact opposite. The technical credibility gap Ferrari had relied on was closed on contractual control. If a court rules that software in a physical product cannot be used to deny that product's core function after a legitimate sale, Ferrari's entire post-sale model collapses, and every automaker using digital locks faces the same exposure. Who is Matt Armstrong? Most people who buy a wrecked supercar do it to flip it for profit. Matt Armstrong had a different plan, and that difference is exactly what started this entire fight. Matt grew up around cars. His father was a mechanic, and the garage was where he learned everything he knew about how machines worked. But Matt did not follow the traditional path into the trade. After a serious BMX accident that put him out of action for months, he returned to the garage, not as a technician, but as a content creator. He picked up a camera, pointed it at a car, and started posting on YouTube.
Now, if I told you it was my dream to become a YouTuber, then I'd be lying. I didn't even realize that was a thing when I started.
The idea was straightforward. Nobody was showing the real process of rebuilding a wrecked vehicle, the failures, the frustrating diagnostic screens, the parts that refused to fit, the suppliers who kept saying no. Every automotive channel that existed at the time either edited out the difficult parts or focused on cars that were relatively simple to restore. Matt decided to do the opposite. Every mistake would stay in. Every setback would be filmed. Every supplier argument would be documented. His first project was a wrecked Audi TT that belonged to his girlfriend. She had been in a crash, and the repair quote from a professional shop was higher than the car's market value. Matt decided to fix it himself and record the entire process. That first video did not go viral, but it proved that people wanted to watch someone work through real problems in real time without the polish, without the shortcuts, without the pretending. He moved on from that Audi to a series of BMWs, then a Porsche, then a Lamborghini. With each rebuild, the formula sharpened. He would show the auction purchase, walk through the full damage assessment on camera, strip the car to its bare chassis, source parts through salvage yards and collector networks, and then put everything back together step by step. The process was never fast, never clean, and never guaranteed to work. That was exactly the point. Viewers watched because they believed in the outcome even when Matt himself did not. Within 3 years, his channel had crossed 6 million subscribers. He had become one of the most watched automotive creators anywhere on the platform. Not because he made the work look easy, but because he never pretended it was anything other than exactly what it was. Then he bought a Ferrari, not a drivable one, not a project car, with minor cosmetic damage.
I just bought this wrecked Ferrari 812 Superfast and we're about to try and attempt to rebuild it.
He bought a total wreck a car that the manufacturer's own dealership had officially declared beyond repair. He paid approximately 100,000 euros for it at auction in Cyprus and brought it back to his workshop outside London. That single purchase set in motion a chain of events that would eventually involve Supreme Court lawyers, billion-dollar legal teams, a Bugatti CEO, and the most powerful technology disruptor of the modern era. Nobody saw any of that coming. The Ferrari said could never be fixed. The car Matt bought was a Ferrari 296 GTB. Before the crash, it was worth over 270,000 euros. By the time Matt saw it at auction, it was barely recognizable as a car. The previous owner had disabled the traction control system while driving on an open road. He lost control. The impact that followed was severe. The front suspension had been torn completely from its mounting points. The floor pan had been pierced through by road debris during the collision. Wiring harnesses across the entire front section of the car were ripped apart. The carbon fiber monocoque, the structural core that holds the entire vehicle together, had cracked in multiple locations. The front crash structure, designed specifically to absorb collision energy and protect the driver, had been destroyed. Ferrari's dealership in Cyprus examined the wreck formally. Their assessment was precise, and their conclusion was final. Repairing the car through official channels was effectively impossible. The quote they provided for the work exceeded the value of the vehicle in its current damaged state. Their recommendation was to write the car off entirely and move on. For any normal buyer, that assessment would have ended the story. Matt heard the same words, looked at the same wreck, and placed a bid of approximately 100,000 euros. The arithmetic made sense on paper. Buy at 100,000, spend on the rebuild, and end up with a car worth 270,000 if everything went right. The problem was that nothing in this rebuild was going to go right easily. Ferrari's own engineers had said so in writing. Matt brought the car back to his workshop and started from the beginning. He stripped it to its chassis. He brought in carbon fiber specialists to address the cracked monocoque. He rebuilt the front suspension assembly from scratch, using parts sourced entirely outside Ferrari's official program. He traced every damaged wire in every harness and repaired each one individually. He worked through the floor pan, the crash structure, and every section of damage one piece at a time. The mechanical work was exceptional. But Matt did not stop at restoration. Rather than return the car to factory specification, he acquired a complete Ferrari 296 Challenge body kit. The Challenge is the track-only racing version of the same platform. Ultra-lightweight carbon fiber bumpers, a redesigned diffuser, extended side skirts, and a large rear wing. Ferrari developed it exclusively for its own racing series and had never approved any version for road use. Matt intended to build the world's first road-legal 296 challenge.Then, a car combining the road drivetrain with the race body in a configuration Ferrari itself had never produced. The modification required redesigning the cooling system, adjusting the suspension geometry, and fabricating new mounting points for the rear wing. While all of this was happening, spy photographers near Ferrari's factory in Maranello captured images of a camouflaged prototype on public roads wearing a massive rear wing, a revised front bumper, and a vented hood. Ferrari was developing the exact car Matt had already built. The automotive press noticed immediately, and the questions that followed were uncomfortable for the brand. None of that changed what happened when Matt turned the key. The car stayed completely silent.
Danger to the vehicle, stop and leave. No progress.
Ferrari spent 2 years building a legal wall around a single software reset. Bugatti sent its own CEO into a public argument to say the work was not possible. Both companies assumed that no independent builder had the resources, the legal support, or the platform to challenge them seriously. They were wrong on every count. Matt Armstrong did not set out to change the automotive industry. He bought a wrecked car because the numbers made sense and the challenge was real. What followed, the legal battle, the Supreme Court threat, and Elon Musk publicly standing at his side, was never part of any plan. But it is now the reality. If this story hit different, drop your thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. Like the video if you want to see what happens next, subscribe to stay with us, and share this with someone who needs to know what is really going on. The next video is already on your screen.